We'll call the meeting to order for the SVSU. Basically, everybody got a copy of what the agenda was going to be. Is there any public comments? No public comments? Presentation by the SVSU Snapshot of Success.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to just share a brief preview of some of the great work we're doing with our student data, looking at assessments and really targeting how students learn best and how we can improve our instruction. So we have a very short presentation for you. We just want to highlight some of the comprehensive strategies we are using to reach our targeted goals. They include work for multi-tiered systems of support. We've talked with you before about that. We also look at Swiss data, and next week we have teams from almost every school meeting with us to develop a comprehensive, integrated, three-tiered approach. It's very exciting work that they are aligning academic, social, and behavioral data and coming up with expectations and interventions very specifically at each school level. And then they are going to roll that out in the fall. So we're really working very well with teams. And I would like to thank Laura Boudreau, our Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment. And this is Pat Conway, our math coach. And also Melissa Senecal is not here with us tonight, but have really been leading the charge on some of these systemic efforts to improve our instruction here in the SVSU. So, Laura.
Great. So, So we want to give you some little snippets from the action plan that we shared with you a few months ago. One of our first, under component 1, which is the first part of our SVSU action plan, we had an action step this past year that talked about monitoring district and school strategies to disseminate news data to drive next steps for instruction. And under the evidence column, we want to highlight that we provided training for our administrators this year, and we also have an SVSU data team that has representation from all of your schools. And so we've provided training with the support of our SVSU data coach and how to use the data to action tool, which we shared a little bit with you at the last meeting, to drive next steps in actually many areas. I also want to highlight the increased usage. MAP is a screening assessment that we've used historically in this district for a really long time, and you'll notice the graph on the left shows our usage report from the 2014-2015 school year, and then the graph on the right demonstrates our increased usage this year. We're hoping that as we roll out more protocols, people will be accessing this tool to help review student-level data. Next steps, moving ahead to next year, is to provide more coaching at the building level with leadership teams and grade-level teams, and how to use the data to action tools with school-level data. So then I'm going to jump you down to the middle of the page. An action step we had under component 3, which is high quality instruction and intervention, which is all about defining what is it that we want our students to know, which is based on the standards adopted by the Agency of Education, and how will we know when they've learned it. I'll let Pat jump in here.
I'm a math coach, and I worked for the past 2 years with the 6th grade teachers, the 6th grade from across the district, from Shaftesbury all the way down to Pownell. And we worked on creating locally researched, vetted, criterion-based math assessments that were common for all 6th grade students. And we look at the results and do an item analysis. And from that, we have found that 84.6%, one group of the students met their targeted growth rate on those MAP scores that Laura was just talking about. And that's a measurement from fall of 2015 to spring of 2016. And they plan on continuing to meet next year also.
And then I just want to call your attention to the graph at the bottom of the page. This is just one example of some of the growth that we've seen across the district in different areas. And we can't say it's everywhere, but we've seen some really dramatic jumps in performance, as you can see in the graph at the bottom of the page, from fall of 2012 to fall of 2015. You can see the dramatic growth that has happened, especially in the 5th grade math scores in a fall-to-fall comparison. So by next year, we will be able to add another year to that, and looking forward, we've seen this growth in many areas, both in math and in reading. So we will be presenting that more for you in the fall when we have more conclusive data.
So the next steps for component 3 leads us to the SVSU curriculum work. So if you flip over to the top of the next page, I've included the work schedule for this summer. I want to draw your attention to the amount of staff pre-K through 12 that'll be working on various aspects of our curriculum documents this summer. We had a lovely 3 days last week with the SVSU math team, and we're able to really dig deep into our curriculum and prioritize standards and start to build proficiency scales that will help teachers. It'll help it to be really clear for teachers what they're working towards in the classroom with the students. Okay. So the last action step that we wanted to highlight for you tonight is all around MTSS Component 4, which is Comprehensive Assessment Systems. And we had an action step this year to review district and school benchmark and summative assessment data to drive next steps. We'll let our math coach jump back in.
And evidence there, this decrease in the high risk, and think of high risk of what? It's a high risk of not being proficient for grade level standards by the end of the school year. So when you look at this graph, think, well, blue is not good. You think, wow, look at the drop. From fall, the percentage of students who are at high risk, and when we're tested again with FastBridge, that's our assessment tool, and students, the percentage of students who are at high risk in the spring.
Another a little snippet right at the bottom of the page we wanted to highlight is we're working towards supporting teams, schools and teams, in the creation of SMART goals. So when we look at data, then we choose a goal, and it might be a multi-year goal, and this is something we're starting to see in pockets, and we wanted to highlight a 6th grade team that created a very specific SMART goal around data they had seen in the area of informational text, and you can see over time with that real focused goal that they were able to increase student performance. And our next steps for this action step is then to, our data coach has a wonderful plan for next year to work with grade level teams and leadership teams to continue to work on creating SMART goals that will lead to action steps that are very focused and targeted.
So this is just a preview, and we're looking forward to coming to meet with you again in the fall when the leadership teams of every school have had a chance to look at their MAP data from this spring and the SBAC data, which was just completed just barely before school ended. And the data for that will be coming in, the confirmed data will be in August or September. So the leadership teams will be working over the summer to really dig into that data and see what it means for their students. So look at the areas of strength and the areas of challenge. And as we have said with the administrators that we meet with regularly, let's look for where students are being successful, and those can be our models for the whole district. And we're working very collaboratively to help people work together to find what works best for our students. So it's really comprehensive and exciting work that's going on, and we just wanted to let you know, just a short summary. And we're going to put this on our SVSU website. We have had some requests from the select board to say, tell us some of the good news that you're working on, or what are some of your goals for the SVSU. So we're going to be sharing that publicly on our website as well.
Thank you for your
Thank
hard
you.
work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Personnel, Director of Finance and Operations.
I've asked our Director of Human Resources, Ed McTurnan, to give this presentation of the process that was used to fill this position.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be here again. The process we followed was per Personnel Policy 4020. The appointments of administrators, we followed the steps in that as thoroughly as we could. All candidates were given the same information and feedback prior to their interviews, so we treated everybody equally. The committee members were made up in a large part by members of our various school boards. Cindy Brownell, unfortunately, she was not able to attend the interviews because of work complications. Dick France was a part of it. Fran Kinney, Ken Swearad, Leon Johnson, and Ray Molyneux were all part of that discussion. On the administration side, we had Mr. Colkeen, Mary Buwack, and Assistant Superintendent Leap. And from the community, the search committee had recommended we bring in somebody from the outside. So we brought in Bill Fisk, who is a local attorney who many of you know. He provided some excellent information, and myself was coordinating. Under the process, we posted the job for April 25th through May 13th. We had 258 people view the school spring posting. Of those, 9 applied for the position. Of those 9, the committee felt that 5 of them were qualified. There were 4 that applied that didn't have financial backgrounds, didn't have any of the things they were looking for. They were just trying to get in, I think. We interviewed all 5 of the candidates, and out of the 5, we brought 3 back for second interviews, and the second interview process was unusual. We asked them to prepare a presentation for the committee where they had to talk about what they would do as their entry plan, and also address the job descriptions and what things they would need to do to get up to speed. It was felt that of the 3 candidates, one of the presentations stood out above all the others, and that was the person we identified as our candidate. And this person is internal to the school. It's Renee Gordon is who we've named for this position, and she is waiting to hear if the board's going to endorse it and move forward with it.
You have her nomination form in your packet tonight.
Thank you. Did any board members have any other questions they wish to ask on this? No, thank you. Okay. Moving on. Finance operation related. Superintendent's name on the SVSU credit card.
The SVSU credit card does not, we do not have one currently, and to put my name on it, the treasurer advises that we need a vote from this committee.
And this would be for,
It's limited in its use for purchases, but sometimes, like Amazon does not take a purchase order, and sometimes some professional development and travel put on that on the district credit card. But again, it's not anything that I've used in my 1.5 years here, but I guess they need a name put on it.
is it the only credit card the SVSU is going to?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nays? Ayes have it. Treasurer report. Everybody saw? Got a chance to look at? What's your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Authorization for the superintendent to approve nominations in the interim hiring time period until the August board meeting.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have asked for some information, and I'm still waiting for it, so I'm voting no to that.
Okay. Any other board members?
I have just a question.
You're not a board member. You're an alternate.
All right, hang on a second, let me pass it on to, I still should be allowed to have a question.
Under comment.
As an
Under
alternate.
other. When we, not under other, but public comments, if you have something that you wish your board member to address, then please do.
All right, George, come here. So we're just going to tie up the meeting, thank you.
Be prepared.
I'll just add something to that. Going through the negotiations, before the fact, we had approved 3%, and when we looked to negotiate, it was, you know, not that I don't want to give it to them, but in doing this, when we come back together, it'll be done. And we haven't looked at budgets, but the people will already be there. That's just another concern.
Can I ask, on your other board meetings, didn't you authorize the chair to make these nominations in the summer, not the superintendent?
Yeah,
Of those
usually.
boards?
No, I think it's just like with Renee, I think you tell them they're hired and contingent on a vote by the board.
But I thought we authorized the chair of the other committees that they could sign,
Yes.
sign contracts in the summer. So I think that should, the motion should be to authorize the chair to sign any nomination contracts that I send, and then confirm on the August meeting. I believe that's what we've done at all the other meetings, all the other committees.
Right.
Yes.
Nelson, I met with the alternate. Two things. One, I think that BSD can handle the concern that he has pertaining to nominations. And the other one is he would like a ruling on can alternates bring up questions at board meeting,
We can ask that under other.
under other.
Under other, we'll address that. We'll bring it up.
All right.
So we have a motion on the floor that's been seconded. Should we amend that to?
Yes.
All right, so I move that we amend that to read the chair and possibly the vice chair.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
either that or it can be the chair and the superintendent.
I think it's the chair or vice chair to approve. I'm pretty sure that's what we did.
It's
at every
would be
meeting.
authorized then.
Sign
to-
warrants.
Okay.
Do the same
Warrants
here,
signed.
yeah.
Okay. So it's amended
And not the superintendent.
to authorize the chair and the vice chair to approve nominations in the interim? Is that what we're looking for?
Yes.
Point of information, we're talking about nominations of salaried staff under contract, teachers
Yes.
and paras contracts.
Right, because if we wait to the August meeting, we often, if we can't confirm somebody that we're going to hire them, they'll take the next available job, and we might lose a candidate. So that's the practice.
I asked that in distinction for non-teaching staff personnel, which under law you have some leeway to.
Right, yeah, the non-licensed personnel is the superintendent.
To approve the nominations only for BSD.
Okay, any further discussion?
12 o'clock.
Everybody understand the amended motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Nays? Ayes have it. Approve and increase wireless infrastructure.
You have this in your packet. Chip is here to speak on it if you have any questions, because Frank was unavailable tonight, so if you have any questions on what this is, Chip? Just give him a brief explanation of what's going on here.
So over the last couple of years, we've increased the number of wireless nodes, wireless devices on the network. Sort of a brief rundown. Probably 3 years ago, we were running roughly 350 to 400 devices throughout the school day wirelessly. Last year, or 2 years ago, that increased to 650 to 700. This last year, we were running roughly 2,500 wireless devices during the school day. And, pardon me, while the network was designed originally to have an offset access point set up where there was an access point in every other room, we're growing so fast wirelessly that we can't accommodate with that, or that can't accommodate us anymore. So we need to increase to an every room, pardon me, to an every room setup so that we have an access point. If a classroom is going, that classroom is communicating with the one that's in that room rather than trying to communicate with the one down the hall. And that was okay.
And this is to supplement some that are already, there's like 100 others coming.
Yeah, we're getting 150 other access points in. We currently have over 400 in the district, and what we're trying to do is augment in areas where there wasn't class activity previous to that, or where we found that classrooms were working with Chromebooks, suddenly we have, instead of 30 or 40 kids in one area, we have 60 kids in an area, all trying to communicate at once, and it's overloading individual units, and in some areas where we just didn't have coverage previously, now we need it because wireless activity has expanded into that area.
And this, the funding for this is in the tech budget.
Okay, so I was gonna ask.
Which part of it?
It's in,
There are two breakout parts. It should be in the building part of the budget mostly. Although some of it may, I don't know if you're adding wireless points in central office.
Yes, there are some, I believe, going into central office.
Yeah, but that's a minor part of the
Correct, it's very minor.
And as I recall, I didn't look at it this time, but there was just a breakdown of the accounts that were going to be charged for this in the original proposal that came last month.
on the 150, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Any other questions?
Is this for all the schools or
This is
just?
for all the schools.
Oh, okay.
It's not from us.
Any further discussion?
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Opposed? Ayes have it. Act 46 Study Committee budget.
May I speak to this?
Sure.
This is an amendment to this agenda as of today, and therefore, under the open meeting law, it needs to be approved by, or accepted by the board before we move to it. If you want, that's under section 312 of Title I. The specific provision is D3A. And we were supposed to do it at the beginning of the meeting, but this is fine as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Those that wish to add it to the agenda, we need a motion to do that.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion?
Yes. I want to know what this commits us to in terms of the Act 46 study committee.
As part of the application for the $20,000 grant, which is what this $20,000, this is the application has to show that the board approves spending the money in this manner. So it'll be, as stated on the sheet, $15,000 for the consultant and $5,000 for legal services, which is the recommendation of Steve Sanborn, the consultant that we're committing to hire. So this would be to pay for his services with the Act 46 Study Committee. And it, as I said, it's a requirement of applying for the grant, that the board votes on it.
Okay.
And what does applying for the grant commit us to? Under Act 46 or the
You are a formal Act 46 Study Committee. You would be considered a formal Act 46 Study Committee.
So this makes us a formal committee then?
In my opinion, you already are a formal committee, and the state has listed you as that on theirs because this board took a vote to form their study committee
Right, but we didn't.
without any funding.
We didn't at the time, as I recall, and I haven't checked the minutes, discuss this in terms of being a formal 704 study, 706, 704.
I don't recall what
706.
the exact wording was. I know that this board voted to form an Act 46 study committee and to follow an apportioned membership, with Bennington receiving 3 and the other communities receiving 1. And then you voted 2 meetings ago to expand that committee to include community members.
Right, which in effect constitutes a new committee.
It does constitute a committee, and that's what the chair, the consultant said that one of the first things that the committee should do when they meet in July 12th is vote a new chair and
Organize as such.
reorganize.
Right, so by doing this, we are constituting this as a committee that has to follow the 706 rules, which mean that ultimately either the committee makes a report saying it couldn't reach an agreement about a course of action that met the criteria and submit that report and disband, or it proposes districts that are necessary or not necessary, whatever they call that particular
I believe that is the intent.
to the articles that will then be developed for consolidation of districts. It's a substantial commitment, but
I just want to call the question on whether we should add this to the agenda.
Yeah.
And then if we,
Thank you.
well, I'm trying to get what we're adding here. And
Well, is there any
I
more,
object to it being added at this point in time.
okay, any other discussions on adding it to the committee?
Well, not to add it, but I wanted to just say that, Ray, that some members of the BSD board have the same concerns, and I think that they may be hiring an attorney to research the very point that you bring up tonight. But they haven't taken formal action on it, but I just want to tell you that there are board members that have questioned this very point that you did also. So I expect that there will be something forthcoming within the next few days, or week, or whenever, prior to the next meeting.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor of adding it, say aye. Aye. Nays?
Nay.
Abstentions? Got 2 nays? Okay. So it's added. Now, I need a motion to accept the Act 46 Study Committee budget line. And basically, if I understand this correct me if I'm wrong, this is to apply for a grant that actually gives you the money that we're approving here?
Yes, the grant is $20,000, but that's show a board vote of how you're going to spend it as part of our application.
Okay, and
75% of it has to go to the facilitator?
That's the recommendation we received on how it's been spent at other study committees, how the other students form their budget.
I think you had mentioned that he's only guaranteed us 2 meetings.
Doesn't mean that we will actually spend it or that he will continue the consultant. So he's not named specifically as the person that he would receive those funds.
so it's an allocation for the purposes of hiring a consultant and legal. And basically what you're telling me is there's 15,000 that's going to be set aside for hiring a consultant or consultants and 5,000 for legal.
Yes.
Okay? And that's what the motion will be on, if we approve it for that budget.
how much of that is reimbursable?
All of that.
All of
The
it.
grant is $20,000.
Okay, so the motion here is going to be to
Apply for the grant.
apply for the grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're approving.
Then spend it.
And then spend it, but that, the way we said. Otherwise, they'd have to come back and ask again if it's gonna be spent differently. Okay? Everybody understand?
I'm just gonna, I'm voting no because I don't have enough.
You'll get a chance to vote no.
Okay. I just thought you were gonna vote, sorry.
Okay? Did I have a motion to accept this? I don't know if I did.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Just-
Aye.
Whoops, hold it.
I just wanted to go back to discussion, sorry, because I'm not clear on what it is that Ray was objecting to. Once we move past the point of saying, let's get it on the agenda, just want to be clear on what Ray's objection was to the
My objection
plot
is I've
application,
never
and whether in
understood-
fact that was the same concern that the Bennington School District has.
My objection is I've never understood this as a formal study committee. And informal committees are welcome under 706. They can then become formal if they get serious. At this point, we have no particular direction that I'm aware of and it seems to me that we're looking to talk to this consultant. We don't know that we'll hire him or that he'll be willing to help us at this point without a consultation. I think would have time to actually authorize money that once we've met.
Yep.
That's a free visit.
Yeah, I've written several grants, managed several grants through a legislative body similar to this. What happens is you have to apply for it. You get it. If you do not spend it at a later date, you can say, sorry, that's not what we're doing. One of the things that I haven't seen is a report to this board from that committee as a group. So if you have some concerns on what the committee's doing and where it is,
I've
you
been
know,
looking at the minutes.
you know, it might be good that if we had a report from that committee here, but I think because of the grant timetables and then applying, we need to do this so we have the money if we do move in that direction. But it doesn't mean that we can't ask them to report to us and see where the things are. And then at that point, you can either say, sorry, we don't need a consultant anymore, or do formal, or whatever you want to do. But I think at this point, I don't want us to end up saying we have to do this formally, turn around and pay for the attorney and pay for the consultant when we have the opportunity to get a grant if we apply for it now. And that's where I come from.
Yeah, my objection is just that this is going to, this entails a further commitment beyond that, which I would actually be in favor of what Nelson said, to get the money and do the exploratory. But I believe that this actually commits us beyond that talking stage to actually having, if we come to an agreement, we have articles to come up with, we have votes to take.
And that's what the consultant is to do.
Right.
And we have been talking.
We're not at
We've
the
been-
talking stage yet.
We have been talking. We've had meetings for almost a year now on this.
Yeah, but there is a lot of information in the minutes, and I agree that there's been a lot of discussion, but
The desire of the study committee was to hire a consultant, and this allows us to do that
Yeah.
with the state's funds from the Act 46 grant.
Well,
Isn't that
I'll go-
what we voted on in the beginning?
Yes.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. We've already voted on this. We said we would accept it and we would move along.
I just don't want us to spend our money if we don't have to. I'd rather have a grant, spend the money. That's where I'm coming from with this process.
Right.
Is there a certain date that you have to, that this grant goes away?
The grant would be, goes away a year from now, along with the deadline to do it, take any action. So once the June 30th, 17 date passes, your opportunity to do an alternative structure goes away and the grant money goes away.
Of next June 30th, not this?
17, June 30th or 17.
So a year.
But that's getting the grant, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's no more grant money available
You
after
have
that
to
date.
apply now, and you have to spend it by then.
Spend by, it's,
Okay?
I'm just concerned because I've heard
Yeah, I don't want people
requests
to
for
be,
legal counsel, and I haven't heard anything,
you know,
what that is. What this means in accepting this and moving on. That's all.
okay. Any further discussion?
one other point, you asked about, Nelson, you asked about a report, and the minutes mentioned specifically there was supposed to be a report this month from the committee.
And we don't have that.
Yeah, I'm not on that committee, and I wasn't on this board when it was formed.
I'm not on the committee.
So, but I think it's reasonable for us to ask those committee members to have a report to us. And if we're not meeting in July, we should have that by early August. We should have some sort of report, I think, telling us. At that point, you'll know whether you're gonna get a grant, that there's a whole bunch of steps that you can report on, and that's where we are. And if it means that everybody is still debating on what they wanna do, that's okay to be reported to us too. I just think we, as a board, should be brought up to speed, being that we created the committee.
I know in my discussions with the consultant on the agenda for the 12th, that's one of the first parts of the meeting is polling of the community and board members from each individual school district to what their desired outcome would be.
Okay, getting a little off the motion here.
Just one last. Could I just suggest that until we get the report, we don't take this vote so that we know what we're voting for?
You won't be able to pay the consultant on July 12th.
Yeah, and you won't be able to get the
Or
money.
we'd have to pay for it out of SU funds.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Go for the
The money, I look at the money different than where we're trying to get a report because,
I'm just wondering what this does. That's my.
okay. So, we got a motion, we're starting to debate the same thing. I'm gonna call the motion. Oops, Ken.
You mentioned that the facilitator is gonna go around and ask one of the main goals of Bennington when we named our three individuals is that we wanted three people without their minds made up. And if we wanted they wanted to listen to all the information about what's going on and then make up their mind. We thought that was important before we had someone come in and this is what we want. And I don't think that's gonna be productive for our three people going around.
I guess I thought that's what the community forums in each, when we had them in each town and each board, that was the intent of those meetings, but.
Because these three have never attended any of the meetings.
Okay. We're sort of getting off of what we're
I don't
applying
think the
for a grant
consultant
here.
plans to, have one meeting and write articles of consolidation or a new charter or
Does
anything
he
like
take
that.
direction from this board,
I
from the Act
would believe
46
he's our
board?
consultant, so I would say yes, yeah.
So if we direct him to do something, that's what he does.
That's what he's gonna be looking for, yeah. What direction this supervisory union and these school districts want to go to.
Ray, move over to your left.
Sorry, I am
Okay.
having trouble seeing.
Okay, I'm calling the motion. All those in favor,
We had a question.
Still got a question, I guess.
somebody had a question?
Ray, did you have your hand up?
No.
He was trying to block the sun, weren't you?
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays?
Nay.
2 nays. Any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. Okay, moving on. Consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on any of those? All those, yeah, you got some discussion?
No discussion. I'm just voting no because.
Well, you'll get a chance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? You gonna vote nay, or,
Oh, no.
okay? Any abstentions? Okay. Policies. Substitute teacher,
Move to adopt 4261, substitute teachers.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Nays? Move to adopt, I need a motion to move condom availability adoption.
Move to adopt 5145, condom availability.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion to move 64, authorize to warn it.
Abstain. Abstain on 5145.
Okay, 54. Any nays on that one? Just the abstention? Okay. 6,400.
Move to warrant 6400, up in the class size.
Second.
Any discussion?
You have that one.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Nays? Okay. Superintendent report?
One thing I wanted to add to the Act 46 Study Committee, the draft of the agenda, a couple of things that it might help, particularly BSD. So introduction by our consultant first, reorganization of the board, a review of Act 46 and the material that is being sent to all new community members, a breakout session by each community so that they will have their own separate community meetings. Then we will reconvene, and there will be a report out by each community to their findings, feelings, comments on Act 46. Next item on the agenda is an outline of all options by the consultant, followed by a discussion on next steps for this committee to take. Then public comments will come at the end. That's how the consultant wants to do it, so that everyone can hear all the presentations of what he has to say and what boards have to say, and then invite public comment, and then set the next meeting dates, and then adjourn. So that is the agenda that I've worked out with the consultant for that meeting on July 12th. The other thing I wanted to discuss with the board tonight is request for proposals for legal services. We have that in draft form. The Assistant Superintendent and I and the Director of HR reviewing for any possible changes. There were some things that our HR Director pointed out that he would like included on under the personnel requirements and expectations for our legal services. So here's the dates that we will be doing this. We should have this ready to go out end of this week, beginning of next week. Monday would be the deadline that we want this out. Proposals are due prior to 10 a.m. on August 17th, 2016. We're asking that the principals of any of the legal firms that submit a bid to be available for the week of August 22nd for face-to-face interviews with the board, if necessary or desired. That is the week of your August meeting. And then the expectation is that law firm will sign a contract with us to begin legal services by September 1st, 2016, and continue to June 30th, 2020. And I understand that we have at least 5 legal firms in our approved vendor list, so we would automatically send the RFP out to them, and we'll also post it in a legal notice.
Okay.
That's a 4-year contract?
3 year, it's 16, oh, well, it's 3 because June, yeah, September 1st, 2016 to June 30th, 2020 is,
4 years.
as it was drafted for, but we can,
3.5.
3.5. It can, the board's wish can, we haven't sent this out, this is in draft form, if you want to drop a year off it.
3 should be sufficient, I think.
3.
Whatever the wish of the board would be.
July 1.
Be June 30th, 2019.
Right.
So make it 3 years. It's fine.
And a question, since we have no, after June 30th, no legal representation, can we, as individual boards, get our own representation?
The chair.
I would ask the board to move to keep the attorney that we have of record, because they represent all the schools, until this position is filled. It's what's been done in the past. I noticed when I looked at one of the RFPs, the last one was done in 2007, and since then, that's all they've done is rolled it over, even though there wasn't, there was timetables when they never even moved to hire the person at that time when the term ended. They just kept moving forward. And I think it's appropriate for us to do the same with the firm that has done business with us for, I don't know,
We're doing the same
2007 to
thing?
now. And I think we're talking 6 months or less,
2 months, because
2 months.
yeah,
And I think that's a reasonable thing to do. And I would accept the motion for that.
to extend it till,
Till the
if we
position-
want to, until the position's filled, but our goal is that to be September 1.
Nelson, however, I would think if an individual board felt it wanted to use someone, it would be their obligation to go ahead and pay for it on their own. But
Yeah.
if they felt they wanted to do it, I think they have the authority to go ahead and do that.
The question that I bring is this consolidation thing that's been going on. As Cindy would probably tell you about the buses, she wishes she could have hired her own buses, but the rules of the state said no. And now that you've had this consolidation of attorneys for so many years, I'm not sure they would allow you to split out, but we can ask that question.
Yeah, the way that the allocation agreement is written, so you would have to change that. Each community pays a percentage of legal services regardless of usage. There's not a bill. That's one other thing that we've learned through this process. It's not like special education where you have a bill back. So in the case of Bennington, they pay 24% of legal bills, and Mount Anthony pays 52%, and you all pay varying percentages regardless of what you use legal. You've consolidated on legal services regardless of how you use it, you pay by percentage. So I don't know, George, how that would complicate. I would assume that any board could be free to go ahead and hire their own attorney, but
You'd
you're
have
still
to
going to
pay.
get your assessment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I make a motion to keep them until we replace them.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion to keep the firm we have and a second until it's filled. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it.
And Is it the desire of the board to end this on June 30th of 2019? Do it 3 years?
Yes, 3 years.
Is that an agreement? Okay.
Yeah, get it out.
And that's all I have tonight.
Okay. Okay, what did I have? It's one of my had on my list was the legal. The other thing I wanted to talk about, well, I'll make one statement quick, is the evaluation of our superintendent committee has a meeting scheduled for June 27th at 5 o'clock at the central office, just so that people out there know that this is moving forward. And then the other thing I had was that when we were at the MAU meeting, there was a discussion about PR being by the different schools, and I thought that this board should think and try to make a decision. They don't have to tonight, but maybe what should happen is that we should have a PR person at the central office that basically gets fed from all the schools, so they can put it up on the webpage, and they could get to the papers and the rest, so that you actually have somebody that's responsible to make sure the good stuff gets out to the press and so forth, versus Bennington hiring their PR person and MAU hiring theirs and Pownell hiring theirs. Have a centralized one, and then the coaches could report or the teacher could report to the individual. Just a thought, and I wanted to throw it out at the meeting. You know, don't have to say anything tonight, but think about it and we can discuss it at a later date.
If there was a desire, we could bring that proposal to the next time you have the personnel committee of what that would look like.
Yes.
And what that would cost everyone. And
Yep.
Is that something that realistically would be, we'd have to hold off till next budget year?
You know,
we have to put it into the
Yeah.
next, but yeah.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be too early to discuss it because we'll be into budget discussions by December.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's just something, and I have no idea what that cost could be, but I know the cost could be substantial if every district tried to do it themselves. Yes.
There was a small study of this. I participated in it some years back. And so there is a document about the need for a public information officer. And
I believe that was the term they used,
I will
yeah.
give it to you to look at.
If you have it electronically, could you mail it
I
to
don't
us?
think it's electronic at this point. I think it's.
And that was the title they were using at that time, right? A public information officer. Yeah.
I also, on the point of the legal contract, I have a letter here from 2014 that is a proposal from Stitzel, Page, and Fletcher. I don't know whether it was a rollover, but it seemed to me like it was a 3-year proposal at that point in time.
Good. In 2014? Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
January 14th.
So then that would be keeping it consistent.
So,
Yeah,
right,
that's it.
it's consistent with what we've got.
Okay. The other thing is July meeting. What I'm looking at is if there was a special need where I got contacted, I would request and send out a notice to the board. Otherwise, there'd be no meeting in July. But if something of emergency occurred and we need to meet,
I think special meetings have happened in the past when.
just look for your email and we'll try and do the best we can with that. Otherwise, I'd say no meeting in July. Board's in agreement with that?
Sure.
Certainly.
Okay, that's it for me.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, one other thing.
Other.
Under other. And actually, there's more, yeah, under other. The question came up about whether alternates should be able to speak at the meetings. A legislative body is elected by the people, and they make the decisions and vote on what those decisions are and debate amongst themselves. Once you start and I'm starting this off, once you start having people come outside that don't vote, start to do that discussion after the fact, I think we're not doing our job. It's basically what it amounts to. That's what we're here for, to make those decisions. But, any other discussion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Get a motion to adjourn, get a second?
I want a legal opinion.
We're gonna ask.
In August.
I've got a motion, do I need a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
And you can check on it.